So honestly, this last decade of games, there's only been a few of them that I could consider putting on my top 10 or even my top 20 games of all time. Games lately that I've played, like Bloodborne, that was released in 2015, could be one of them. Red Dead Redemption 2 back in 2017 could be another one. But the most recent one that I can add to the bunch is definitely Alan Wake 2. I absolutely adored this game. For me, it's the best game to come out last year, 2023, and last year was jam freaking packed with video games. I believe last year was pretty much the best and worst year games have ever been. When you have games like the Dead Space, the Resident Evil remakes, you have Alan Wake 2, Spider-Man 2, Baldur's Gate 3. You have blunders like I would say the day before and Kong Skull Island, and you have other blunders like Gollum. So 2023 was a huge game for gaming, and honestly, this year has been nothing but kind of a letdown, to be honest with you. Now, Alan Wake 2 is pretty much just a third-person a survival horror experience developed by Remedy, and published by Epic Games. Now, this game has been in development for years, and I believe it was teased in the Game Awards back in 2021. There's a bunch of stuff that I want to say about this game. First of all, what I want to go into is kind of in the negative territory. I want to start off with the negative because I just don't believe that this game has a lot of those. So I'm going to quickly go into negatives. This is a very story-driven experience. This is going to be a lot of moments we're just going to be standing around watching things happen in-game or watching live-action cinematics, which are pretty amazing. This game is pretty much the closest thing to what I believe a Hideo Kojima cinematic horror game would be like. It's a very slow-paced and eerie experience. Kind of reminded me a lot of PT, even though that game, we were close to the 10-year anniversary actually these last few days. Kind of reminded me of a third-person version of what that game could have been if you took out the combat. Now, a few things that I could go ahead and mention as negatives, if we can go ahead and get into that territory. The first thing, and this is something that I mostly experienced, because there's two campaigns. You have the Saga and the Alan Wake campaign, the two main protagonists. And I believe that Saga has the most boss battles in her repertoire. Her first boss battle is fantastic. I have actually a video on my TikTok of like the first actual jump scare that I had in this game. But her boss battles, not good. And I wouldn't say every single boss battle of hers is bad. That's not true. Only there's about, with her, for every new chapter, there's about maybe 5 to 6 chapters. So I would say at least 2 to 3 of her bosses, the old lady in the sewers and the dual police officers, they're just not great boss fights. And I wish that they would at least tweak those boss fights a little bit more. The game could feel a little sluggish at times, and those specific boss fights did not do, I would say, it didn't do it justice. It could have been a little better. Another thing that I could go ahead and teach as a con, the game doesn't go out of its way to let you know, since there's 2 campaigns, it doesn't really let you know that in the end they both merge. So if you finish one campaign first, you are automatically transferred to the next one, and then you continue to that point in the game. But the game doesn't tell you this, so you're kind of switching back and forth because you don't want to finish one campaign or the other. You want to make sure you get the most of both of the experiences, and it's kind of worrying at times. And finally, third, and I'm going to quickly go over this, I didn't get the doll puzzle system. Fuck you. It has so many layers, this game, but, that doll system that they have with the puzzles, I never got it. I had to do gameplay for all of it because I couldn't get it. But that's it. There's a lot of moments in this game, and I want to talk about all the stuff that I love about it. Again, where you're just sitting around or experiencing things happening around in the world. Things like memory echoes, where you're standing in a specific point with the light. and you see a memory of somebody saying some things, films or short films in theaters, or even like commercials that sometimes the characters in game do to promote their products. There's two specific characters that are twins in this game, and I just love their whole dynamic in the game. And I have to say, Remedy really went above and beyond with everything. This game is oozing with detail, is oozing with creativity. I love the voice acting, and I just love how far they went with the cinematics and the live action cinematics in the game. Do I remember Lopu, which I... So spirals have a beginning, but they never have an end. They just keep going round and round, but they have a beginning. That's it. And this pretty much falls into what I was saying with Alan's character. Alan's been pretty much stuck in the dark place for about a decade at this point, even more than that. So his experience in the dark place is trying to meet the people that have been trapped there in the past. Since the dark place pretty much feeds off of creativity from artists, these artists leave trails of their past work trying to escape or their experiences in the dark place. I'm not going to show a lot of spoilers because there's a few characters in the game that make comebacks, but there are other characters in game that are completely new. So I'm going to keep spoilers as much as I can, but the things that you're going to be watching in the video are just things that I feel like are important. For example, Alan can definitely experience, live action videos of other characters in game that have either died or have been able to escape the dark place. So that's all Alan wants to do. He wants to escape the dark place. That's Alan Wake's campaign. He's stuck in this weird neo-noir city that's so detailed. It has so many layers, and he's meeting all these different characters that are in the dark place. Some of them are his creations, and some of them are past artists. And some of them, or one specifically, which is a character that interviews as Alan Wake in live-action cutscenes, is not officially explained. He could be a sort of maybe like a counterpart to what the dark place really is, or a stepping stone in your story that is trying to help you. It's very meta. He lets you know that people are playing the game and that they're trying to help Alan escape, which is pretty much what you're doing, so that's what he is explaining. So it's pretty meta like that. Again, this game is a eerie, slow-paced ride. There are definitely amazing action moments, but not like in the original Alan Wake where you're fighting possessed tractors and fields. This Alan Wake experience is more grounded. It's more crazy, I would say. It's more for horror fans, really. It's a scary experience. It's a scary game. Alan Wake has to experience all these horrors, apart from Saga's campaign, where it has its horror moments and jump scares, but it's not that horror-oriented. Just like, kind of like the Resident Evil 6 campaigns were different, where you had more action campaigns like Chris's campaign, and more horror campaigns like Leon's campaign in that game. But that's a whole other story. Let's see what else we can talk about a little bit here. The Dark Place, pretty much, Alan's powers in the Dark Place, you can travel where you have these like interdimensional puddles from one of the characters in control that makes a comeback, and you can switch between Saga and Alan. Alan pretty much uses his powers of writing to change his entire environments to his ease, and those transitions are so amazing, so cool, when Alan is changing the entire world around him, and the world itself is trying to help him escape. And it can lead to some really funny moments and some amazing cinematics in-game. I actually wanted to really know what... Oh. Hey, Alan.
What the hell?
fuck is this? Oh my god.
From what I've gathered, you grew up nice and sheltered with mama's pretty stories and your own made-up fury. And mama gave me a magic clicker. Well, yes, I think it's true and fair to say.
Now, one of the things that I can say that I love a lot about this game also, apart from the amazing storytelling, the great cinematics, the great gameplay, I just love the characters in this game. It has such a huge lineup of characters, and Alan Wake's campaign pretty much is where he experiences characters like the late night host, Alex Casey, the director, the woman in the apartment. There's a lot of characters in this. I would say this game took me, if you really go through it, you could get it from 30 to 45 hours. In those 30 to 45 hours, both Saga and Alan get to experience such a wacky group of characters in such a wacky world. It's absolutely fantastic how much they just smashed into this game, and how much content. And recently, I haven't played the Night Springs DLC, but I cannot wait to get my hands on it and actually go through it. I absolutely love this game. I think that Alan Wake 2 is a masterpiece. It deserves to be praised. It deserves to be a success. I'm saddened that the game itself didn't make a lot of money, but I'm glad that it won so many awards. It got so much recognition. And man, it's so good to see the voice actor and the physical actor for Alan Wake come back to the role after more than a decade away. And I'm just so glad that Remedy just, at least even if we don't get Alan Wake 3, because they could possibly do it. They don't have to, but they can. At least we got this amazing sequel and a great DLC. In that same vein, even though Alan has pretty much the darkest part of both campaigns, or the darkest parts, he also has some of the funniest. I want to go ahead and play some of it for you right now. Whoa! Whoa!
Such a dark place, am I trapped in here? Is this real? I cannot remember. There was a manuscript, it held a key. A vicious cycle I must not surrender to. Echo scenes to seek out again and again, until I figure it out, to bring this song to its end.
Yo, get it, Alan. Get it. This is so weird. Oh.
And bring this song to its end.
It's so awkward to see him like that. Now what? Sam Lake looks so happy. Get out, Alan! I think he had a good time. This game's soundtrack is absolutely fantastic. I think I had the Herald of Darkness song stuck in my head for weeks after I finished this game. It's just so catchy, and I have to say, this game is split into chapters, kind of similar to the original, and kind of similar to games like The Evil Within. And every new characters, or every new chapter is split up like episodes. Once an episode ends, you have like this kind of cool end credit scene wallpaper screen with an original song composed for this soundtrack. And most of the songs in the soundtrack are pretty fucking great, except maybe one or two that I was making fun of during my streams. Oh, it's over. Whew. Is it the same song? No, this is a little different.
And some say that it moves forever, this road that I lose you on every time. And some say that it moves forever. I can't find a way back home since I fell down this rabbit hole. I love you so, but I had to go to find something of my own.
Now in Alan Wake 2, we are introduced to the secondary character of the game, or pretty much the main character right next to Alan, Saga Anderson. Saga Anderson is an FBI special investigator. She's working side by side with the real Alice Casey in the real world, who's played by, obviously, Sam Lake and voiced by the Max Payne voice actor who sadly passed away a few months ago, sadly. And that's a huge loss for the industry, because we're going to get 2 new Max Payne remakes, and maybe even a remake for Max Payne 3 eventually, and maybe even a sequel for Max Payne, but I don't see that happening without that actor being around. Anyway, Saga Anderson is the protagonist right next to Alan. Her campaign mostly centers around tension building, but not horror. Tension building and action. She gets a lot more weapons and a bigger arsenal of weapons compared to Alan. Alan only has around 3 to 4 main weapons. She could have, I believe, a few more of those. And even though his weapons are more like a revolver, a shotgun, and a light, a flare gun, her weapons could be anything from a crossbow to a rifle, to a shotgun, to an automatic weapon, a pistol. So she has more, I would say, a more action-based gameplay, because she mostly hangs around in forests. She's investigating crime scenes. And I just love that in this universe of people, games like Quantum Break, Control, and Alan Wake are all connected. She is mostly involved with the characters from the town of Bright Falls, where Alan Wake disappeared, and how these people are affected by the events of Alan Wake 1, and how the dark place has pretty much affected the minds of the people here, even Saga herself, because it's teased all over the game that the characters know who she is, but she doesn't remember Bright Falls. So it's like she's had this entire experience in this town, but she just doesn't remember it. And then you're introduced from people to her life, but you're not really sure what aspects of her life are real and which are not. You simply know who she is, what she does, and what her power differs from Alan. Alan's power pretty much involves writing things into existence, and in so being able to change his environment through his writing. Saga's is a more investigative power, where she can investigate crime scenes, put together clues in her own safe place in her mind. She can put together just an arsenal of clues, and then she can briefly sometimes invade the killer's minds. And while invading their minds, she can go ahead and just straight up solve crimes. In the real world, if you were able to just touch an item or see something in a crime scene and just put clues together and just invade that person's mind in the moment that committed the murder, that could help a ton. And that's pretty much her power throughout the game. The way that these pretty much cinematics are presented to you in her mind are absolutely fantastic. The writing and the voice acting specifically when she invades a killer's mind is fantastic. But she can also use her power to simply tell if somebody's lying in the moment. or multiple people are lying in the moment. Again, her gameplay is more action focused. But there are moments where she's in the real world, opposite to Alan, where she can just simply ask a character a question, and if they're lying, she could just go into her safe haven, as they call it, and investigate. I believe Alan Wake 2 is simply an absolute masterpiece. I could replay it every few months if I wanted to, just like my top 10 games. I believe that's one of the reasons it made it onto my top 15 games of all time, which not a lot of new games can do. This is one of the more, I would say, recent ones. Play it if you haven't already. It is a masterpiece. It's something to just experience and build. If you're a horror fan, you need to play this game. It's that easy, okay? That's it. That's my review on Alan Wake 2. I hope you guys have a great day and just love each other.